Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm always excited to introduce the Canadian Zerg in the blue. It is Scarlett, joined by another perpetual underdog, the Chinese Terran, in the red in the top left, Oliveira. Best of 3 TVZ. Both these players known somewhat for their inconsistency, but have a common denominator between them. Beating Maru in incredibly high-profile matches, and with massive upsets. So, both of them capable of something a little bit different, but still incredibly exciting, which is hopefully the tagline for this channel, and also inspiration to like and subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we... It's just the Reaper Micro. Nobody cares about that. Not really. They just lie about it in the 1,242 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another series. I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. I am very interested to see, going into I Am Katowice especially, Oliveira, is a repeat for performance plausible? Possible? People would have said it was incredibly unlikely, and for very good reasons last year. This time around, I don't think anybody's going to be underestimating him. I think he's going to be estimated quite well as one of the best Terrans in the world, but maybe without the bleeding edge micro of Clem, or the strategic macro of Maru. But again, who knows? He's somehow still the underdog, despite all that. Though I think I would give Oliveira a slight edge in this particular series, as Scarlett has split her time a little bit between, being a top-tier Zerg, the best player from Canada, and sometimes from North America, her and Estrella going back and forth, but also the balanced designer for Zero Space. And if you want more of that game, you can check out my second channel, and yes, that is a second plug in 2 minutes, so we're off to a strong start here. By the way, this video has been brought to you by Raid Shadow Hellions on the way. Popping the first couple creep tumors, severely annoying the queens, but behind it is going to be a third command center and a liberator. So a bare bones start, a greedy Terran opener, but still with potential to do a lot of economic damage against an unsuspecting Zerg. The Hellions are there to keep control and constantly poke at the edges of the creep, maybe take advantage of even a moment of indecision from the Zerg. They can just dart in, get a bunch of damage done, though usually Terran players will hold. It's the threat of running in with the Hellions that keeps the Zergs at bay a lot of the time and forces them to build enough Zerglings to at least defend against it. Scarlett will see the Liberator on the way. She's already got anti-Liberator Spore Crawlers here set up, specifically behind the mineral line to deal with this, as clearly that is the intent. And, well, Liberator Siege is at the back. Spore Crawlers and Queens. The Zerglings will be roasted, but they did their job. Their job being protect the drones from the purging fire of the Hellions. And so far, only 2 drones down. 15 Zerglings were taken out. Most of the Hellions in tech coming back around, trying to catch the drones transferring, but the Queens, get off my creep. But, unfortunately, even on creep, the Queen's a bit slow. This is an odd chase here. Getting great hits off on the Zerglings, but eventually Scarlett will pin them down behind the minerals here. And... go tell your friends what happened here. What do you mean you don't have any friends? Oh, you're a Terran. Ah. Don't be rude, Karen. Sorry. I, blacked out for a mo. We got 1-1 on the way for both sides. Oliveira going to have a severe advantage here, about over a minute, with all 3 bases. So the early Hellion Liberator intended to keep the Zerg back and essentially deny any counterattacks. The best defense is a good offense, as long as that offense doesn't go horribly wrong and you lose all your units before you're able to get your production online. But now the second phase has begun. Oliveira's got his third. He's got Marines. He's got tanks. And with medevacs, there we are, you got all the fixins of a solid Terran push. But Scarlett, with her characteristic creep spread, so far. Over halfway across the map, despite being thrown back a bit by the Hellions. The creep tumors spread incredibly far apart, making it that much harder for scans. Not that many creep tumors, but you can see the efficiency there. As the Queen's looking to hold them on. Combat shield and 1-1 not yet done. Oliveira just pressing forward with those siege tanks on the high ground. The Zerglings coming from the back, though, will rip apart one of them. The second one now vulnerable to the Queens, and without combat shield, without 1-1, this was maybe biting off significantly more than you could chew here, Oliveira. Still, again, offensive defense. Scarlett brought back the Zergling she was going to counterattack with in order to deal with this. Probably not expecting Oliveira to go that far onto the creep, especially with unupgraded Marines and tanks. And now switching into the Widow Mines, as maybe needs something a bit more, maybe not reliable, but with a better risk-reward ratio than bare bones tank pushes. On one. On the way. Queen's still boxing out the medevacs full of Marines here. And lines up some more creep tumors. Scarlett throwing up a casual 1200 APM there. Infestors on the way, Hydras as well. Just Marines. The Queen's going to be intercepted on the way by. The Marines, well, they kill another Queen. Some of the Marines left behind. And Oliveira keeping the pressure on. But if Scarlett is able to get either of these medevac groups, she's going to have more than enough to just all-out attack on Oliveira's side of the map. As with the Hydras, there's a lot of stopping power, especially against Widow Mines. Usually, siege tanks are better off against a mass Hydra composition, but Oliveira didn't see the Hydras until now. He's adding some siege tanks in. Are there enough to deal with this? The Marines are gunning their way through. The Hydras... Now, I want to point out, Scarlett actually has been going for ranged attack this whole time. I didn't even notice that. I wonder if Oliveira did. As almost all of the time, we see +1 melee as the choice. Even if you're going for a Hydra Baneling composition, it's +1 melee attack to add extra strength to the Zerglings and Banelings. As Hydras usually have a pretty solid DPS, they don't need too much for themselves, but this indicates Scarlett is very invested in the Hydralisks. And, yeah, interestingly, only now getting the Baneling Nest. It's just a mass Hydra sort of build. Well, how many Hydras? Wow, 18 and building 9 more? It is mass Hydra, like, just Zerglings and a seasoning of Zerglings and Banelings, but the Hydras are the main course here. The Widowmines at the front, the Queen's a bit ambitious! Whoa, eating some of the Widowmine shots, which... maybe wires getting crossed there just a little bit. The Spore Crawler zoning out the Widowmine drop, but as long as they're able to unload, damage can follow. The Widowmine's into the mineral line. 2, 6, 13, and 15 drones down. As Scarlett plummets to a 12 drone deficit. The Minecraft play is a bit too strong. And Oliveira turns the Marines onto the Hydras. They'll float up here on Oceanborn. Another Widowmine connects, killing a Queen. Infestors will burrow at the last second. More Marines are taken out. A bloody game thus far. Good thing we're underwater. It washes away quickly. Some ghosts on the way. Quite a setup here at the third base. Infestors on the back. Just a single siege tank, but with some targeting, those Infestors definitely somewhat vulnerable here. Oliveira still, while the Infestors are there. Let me in! The Hydra's just clawing at the depots, and a scan lands a snipe on the Infestor. Scarlett making a lot of work happen with these early Hydras. Meanwhile, the Widowmine's at the back being drawn out. There is an Overseer, another snipe. Just going for Hydras here. Predator drone, morale officer. Out in front, just throws out a fungal. Infestor's kind of getting caught out. What a weird fight. Rarely do you see just pure Hydra. But 9 SCVs go down, and those 2-2 Hydras acquitting themselves well. 23 Hydralisks, and it's actually, there are no Zerglings. Hydras and Infestors are the only units on the field. The Scarlett knows something everyone else doesn't. As she has no lurkers, getting Ultralisks. But I guess there's nothing to get in the way of the Ultras. In this case, adding a few Zerglings in, it's crazy to see a unit composition without any Lings and Bane. So, well, there will be a few of them. Pure Hydra. There is a point around these 20 to 30 Hydras where you need your full army to fight at all times. Oh, that Viper did not last long. A very unfortunate location to be morphing it. Widowmine's taking out some more of the drones. Oliveira cutting into Scarlett's economy, but she still has 85 drones left over. Gonna rebuild this hatchery immediately. Gut the rest of the Marines. Oliveira with 4 going on 5 bases. Another planetary up to the north side. Has some nice choke points here, adding those extra command centers. So even though Scarlett has managed to get a lot of damage done, we're getting to that phase of the game where you have to decide if this is the end game composition you want. And so far, the Hydras have been enough. Gonna work their way forward. Getting a bit distracted by the orbital command here. Might just be able to take it out. I don't know about the planetary. The orbital, a bit less of a dangerous target. Oh, a beautiful fungal. Another set. And there's a burrowed infestor at the back. A bunch of Marines are taken out right off the bat. But this infestor waiting for its moment. Oliveira thinks he's safe. But the infestor could easily hit the ghost. She's not going to pop it up just for a few isolated ghosts. That's what the Hydras are so good at. And another fungal comes through. But they stand their ground with the medevacs on the back line. This time around, Scarlett going to be driven back. The ghosts lining up snipes, but once they get on the creep, they barely outrange it. Looks like finally this Widowmine will be taken out after a surprisingly long lifespan on the creep. Have the Ultras been spotted? Does it matter? Mass Ghost and Liberator is the composition for pretty much any endgame situation, but Oliveira not paying attention. The Ghosts, Blinding Cloud, trying to push them in there, at least giving the Ultras an opportunity. The planetary, Scarlett moving into a planetary while splitting off the Ultras, the oldest disaster in the book. The planetary drawing so much attention away, and then so many expensive units up to the high ground. But Oliveira, also not perfect so far, losing a lot of his ghosts and plenty of Marines to the infestors and the Hydralisks themselves. Honestly, though, I think Oliveira, this is a novel experience for him. Usually you'll see 10, maybe 15 Hydras, well, like the amount we have now. And that'll just be kind of the anti-air support, something to pick off Widowmines. Scarlett has been whittled down to that count. But so far, these fights have been dictated by the sheer number of Hydralisks, which is such an odd scenario. I gotta repeat it. Because usually Hydras are kind of glass cannons. But I guess if you have enough cannons, that solves a lot of your problems. Yeah, the Marines just not stacking up. It also helps deal with that kind of split push style, because you just don't have enough damage to beat the Hydras without your entire army together. Scarlett rampaging through right now, but the Ghosts line up a firing squad of snipes. Pop 2 of the Ultras, third one badly bruised. Another attack coming in. The Ultras trying to hold the line, pushing through in the center. Meanwhile, the Ultra tanking the damage of the planetary. More Banelings rolling into the Ghosts, but they make it to the high ground. This planetary will not die. Again, many of the units getting stuck on the planetary, and I think that's the difference between eventually grinding Oliveira to a Ultralisk compressed pulp and him holding the line for now. Just the ideas, amazing, but the execution is not quite there yet for Scarlett. She needs to focus on which base she's taken down, so that way she can, at this stage of the game, it's about making sure the Terran can only mine from maybe 1 base max. They can't rebuild. Not quickly, not easily. And eventually you grind them down through sheer attrition. And attrition it is. Oh, here come the Banelings. The snipes take out the Ultras. The Banelings take out the base and the SCVs. Mutually assured destruction here, as both sides taking terrible, terrible damage. Widowmines get some big hits. The army is more ghosts than anything else. Literally more ghosts than Marines or Marauders right now. The base to the north will be taken out. And Scarlett doesn't have enough money to rebuild at the moment. She built some infestors, which are definitely a more mineral efficient unit. Oliveira still has Liberators and is making Widow Mines, Liberators, building armor, and has 10 ghosts on the field. So that tells you the type of turtle Terran that Oliveira tends to be. And this is not new. All right, Oliveira is actually one of the best turtle Terrans in the world. It's just Scarlett has kind of thrown this game sideways so far, and Oliveira hasn't really been able to harden those defenses. But it's getting there. Scarlett doesn't have many more attacks like the previous ones before she has to reconsider the strategy entirely. So I think the game, for the most part, in the near future will be decided here. Oliveira has committed the vast majority of his army to this high ground location. He's got the overlapping Venn diagram of freedom of Liberators to zone out, well, mostly everything, but including the Infestors. He's got the Ghosts on the back, but they got fungled and interrupted. There's no Ultras here, just the one, and this isn't a planetary. The Liberators are covering their base as well. The SCVs trying to repair will take out the base, but the Ultras and most of the ground army taken down. 19 more SCVs. A heavy cost, but the Liberators weren't quite sieged yet. The Baneling slide underneath. Scarlett moves past, but the cloak on the Ghosts. Oh god, the Liberators are just pincushioning the ground army. And the Ghosts are also contributing. Amazing against Lings and Hydras just with auto attack. Oliveira breaks through and takes out the base to the south. Liberator siege is a bit optimistic there. Oliveira retreats here. What is the income? Scarlett still mining from that top right location and possibly the full northern base. Oliveira has enough SCVs to be competitive, but Scarlett's creep spread has re-extended pretty much anywhere Oliveira doesn't have turrets. Scans are good, but they're temporary. Turrets are the only way to have reliable detection for the creep tumors, it seems, as Scarlett's creep spread just extends over everything. Oliveira only has 3 orbitals. He never got to that turtle max out point when you have enough resources, enough minerals to build like 8 more command centers and have instant map hacks, I mean scans across the entire map. So that is a testament to how much pressure Scarlett has been putting on. That Oliveira never got to that count of orbitals, and now is struggling not just to hold on to his bases, but to keep the creep off his front lawn. Not in my backyard, he says. Well, how about front yard? Says Scarlett. A single Zergling over here, racking up SCV kills as Oliveira's kind of lost track of it. Some Liberator sieging up. Advanced Ballistics is completed. So they do have that potentially devastating range. Oh no. Well, the Little Mine will finally take out the heroic Zergling that ended up getting like 3-4 kills. Queens! Kind of playing there. Honestly, it's like a mini game for Scarlett. It's just another thing. It's like she's playing on her phone, Creep Spread Simulator, while playing the rest of the game. As the Queens are just going off and doing their own thing. In the middle of the fight sometime. Well, this one just barely in position. Gotta be real careful. Yanks and the Ghost, which is a dangerous game. The EMPs will come through. Only one snipe, though. Scarlett deciding to get drawn into the fight. You usually don't want to let the Terrans start the fight, because they're the ones who are likely to finish it then. The overlapping Liberator. Scarlett is still maxed out. Oliveira really struggling to get any income. And there's not that many more bases left to take. Scarlett's starting to mine from the northern one. Oh, but those Vipers! The Vipers, no! And no return fire there. No ability. This is a bit of an... Both players really struggling to keep tabs on everything that's happening. As Scarlett transferring drones. Well, here come the Hydras. Microbial Shroud on the Hydras to fight against the Liberators. It's actually a huge deal here. Very helpful. Twice as many hits to kill those Hydras, and it makes all the difference. Oh my, it doesn't help against the snipes, but... Microbial Shroud reducing the Liberator damage. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Occasionally it'll be attempted, but one of the use cases of Microbial Shroud were definitely better than Fungal doing, you know, just emotional damage to something like a Liberator. So that actually, well, the supply doesn't look great, but the Liberator count has been reset, and the fungal, just before the Infestor goes down, catches some of them. A lot of those ghosts are still cloaked. Hydras still microing by, and here come the Overseers. And the Hydras just grinding their way through. Scarlett. Wow. The Microbial Shroud. Reducing the specifically air-to-ground damage of units by half. Which I think lets the Hydra survive at least 2 more hits. I'm not sure the math on it. But clearly made all the difference there, as those Hydras survived through pretty much all the Liberators. Oliveira only has +1 ship weapons as well. And, oh, there goes another medevac. Make that 2 with all hands. And now, the income, which has been in Scarlett's favor for the vast majority of the last 10 minutes. Now, well, Oliveira is at, he's still got 1,500 minerals per minute, but those minerals are drying up fast. An impressive feat for an underwater map. The Infestor a little late, but still catches a ghost. More Infestors. This is an insane strategy. The ghosts are still a very capable unit against the Hydralisks. But it's a numbers game. What are you doing, Infestor? I'm not sure if I think it would need +3 to one-shot an Infestor. And even then, I'm not 100%. I think we may see the Microbial Shroud break out again. As this multi-siege push, looking dangerous, but Scarlett does have Vipers and Infestors here. Yanks in the Liberator, still moving forward, gets the tank, looking for more. Widowmine doing damage to the Ghost. There's no medevacs behind. And Scarlett pulls back again, but she holds on to the base. And a 60 supply lead. 16 more Hydras on the way. A game that's featured nearly 200 of them. Wow. Leave it to Scarlett to innovate Zerg yet again. I'm not actually sure what the play is. I know on paper, Ghost Liberator should still be fine against Hydras. Oh, this is an awkward sight. Long distance mining with pretty much the rest of the SCVs, which is 65 of them, so... Yeah, uh-oh. Oh, this is awkward. And Oliveira taps it out. Scarlett, it costs her 5,000, 8,000 more minerals. That's about how much she mined. And a couple thousand more gas. And 137 Hydralisks. Wow. I've never seen Hydras be quite that effective against an army that's supposed to counter them. But here we are. I'm just thinking, like, I think you kind of got to go back to the Marine tank style. That's an odd one. It's a bit map dependent. Is it? I don't know. We'll see. We got a best of 3. We'll see if it works again. If we get an opportunity again. Well, Jimmy. Game 2. Site Delta. Oliveira's going to open up with the 2 racks this time. And it was the intent from the start because she went for the +1 missile attack. And of course, well, Hydras are very... Even when you get the speed upgrade, creep is still way better. I mean, for dictating the pace of a fight, but also just moving around, of course. So, combined with Scarlett's almost second-to-none creep spread, I think Scarlett and Cyril have the best creeps. Honestly, Scarlett might have better creep spread than Cyril. It's just everything else Cyril's a bit better at. You know what? Cyril might argue, like, my queen efficiency. You don't need creep spread on the whole map. You only need it with the map, parts of the map you're going... Okay, Cyril. Okay. Okay. All right. Go back and play Microsoft Excel for fun or something. I don't... But combined with nearly full map creep spread, Scarlett making Hydras look like a core unit. Not just like the backline DPS unit, but a core main mono-battle style unit. It's been so long since I've truly seen someone actually innovate TVZ. Or ZVT, rather. So. And Microbial Shroud against Liberators. That's in any other game, that would have been the highlight. That would have been the clickbait, but... Well... Almost lose the Reaper. Very important to not lose the first Reaper when you're going for this multi-Rex opener. How many? Just the 2. Scarlett scouted it with the Overlord here. She knows. She knows the Command Center is on the way. She knows that this is not... The strat isn't Reapers. Period. It is Reapers... ... I have such a lyrical wordsmith. All right. I was a poet, and I wasn't even fully aware of it. So 4 Reapers. It always feels like the number is between 3 and 7, and we hit a random number generator how many Reapers it's going to be with these 2 rack styles. The Queens are coming up, but goes with the Evo chamber behind just to keep the Reapers busy for a little longer. There's technically a spot of creep, which we've seen abused for some very specific cheeses in the past, that you can build exactly an Evo chamber on if you're quick enough. Don't try this at home. The Reapers pay the toll, knock the Queens out of the way, but you shall not pass! Well, unfortunately, the grenades mean they will, but the Queens hold the door and keep the Reapers locked in. And what a weird start to this game. Scarlett made a lot of Zerglings, all right? So when these things happen, you got to think about the opportunity cost. The emotional victory of slaughtering those Reapers in that particular manner is significant. All right? That felt good. But at the same time, Oliveira does have 3 command centers. He does have multiple barracks online and a decent SCV count. So Scarlett sacrificed her opportunity to really have a comfortable early mid-game, like that time before 100 supply, in order to crush the Reapers. And now, while she's going to have, 20 Zerglings? Getting 4 bases is good, but this early medevac timing is going to be maybe not deadly, but tough to deal with cost effectively, which is a very different vibe to it. Doesn't sound as exciting, but it's going to catch Scarlett before a lair, and possibly before a baneling nest, as right now she's just building drones and Queens, and that'll get you far, but it's a long way off getting to Hydras with plenty of upgrades, so we'll see. There's gas on the way. The lair should be starting. Probably should have already started, but Scarlett has nothing else to spend her gas on, so I don't even think she doesn't have any Evo chambers. You're gonna burrow Overlord speed. Well, 1-1 just started for Oliveira. There should be enough Zerglings to deal with this. Scarlett up to 51 drones. This is, well, not the Overlords. The medevacs are in a bit of an awkward position here. Scarlett has to bring the Lings around. Actually, supply blocked at a very inopportune. So was Oliveira. At quite an inopportune time. But I think both sides are going to free up some supply in this fight. Oliveira keeps track of things. 3rd base is landed. Scarlett, 57 drones, which is good. It's not great, not terrible. But you can definitely tell that there isn't that... Well, there's the drone explosion. 17 as soon as she gets on supply block. That's out of... I don't know. That's a lot. Meanwhile, the incredibly efficient and picturesque creep spread. Oh, my God. The creep spread in my mouth. Oh, that's... Yeah. Yeah. Just edit all of that out, Jimmy. All of it. Just the whole thing. All right. Creep spread looking good. As I haven't mentioned. Hydra Den on the way. 1-1. Oliveira. Now, this is the part of the game when you have to slow Scarlett down. She has gone to 74 workers. She slowed herself down with a bit of a supply block, though. And with 4 bases already done this early, she's going to have so much production of Hydras and Zerglings. Big counterattack here. The Zerglings, but at the same time, the Marines are stepping in on both sides. There's almost nothing back at home for Scarlett. A near base trade. The Queens are holding the line on one side, but the Marines uncontested on the other. 11 SCVs dead. The hatchery itself, the hatchery is the equivalent of 3 or 4 barracks of production. That's why it's so important. On top of, the income. But at the same time, 14 SCV is going down, which certainly cuts in to Oliveira's production as well. 1-1 now done. This time, melee attack for Scarlett, but now ranged attack afterwards. More Queens getting gunned down as they try to go out for the creep. Oliveira still dangerously close on supply, which means the army supply is in his favor. 2 tanks at a time. That's the difference here. We're not going to Widow Mines. It's going to be tanks. Will that be enough? Scarlett making 15 more drones, which is ambitious. But Oliveira's decided that mass tank is the style, and I think you need half a dozen at least. 1 or 2, not going to make a difference. A lot of players will make, well, I'm talking more about Meta League players than I am about professionals. Will make like 3 tanks and be like, it didn't work. Zerg OP. But Oliveira understanding that if you're going to go tanks, you have to go tanks. Especially against a Hydralisk composition. But we still have to ask whether it's going to be enough. There are no banelings. There's not really many there's a dozen Zerglings, that's it. Tanks will siege here. And Scarlett going to back off for now. Probably trying to wait out that +1 attack. Has some Hydras anticipating a drop, but no. Oliveira just pure, sheer Marines and tanks. Terran firepower. The classics here. A Heart of the Swarm cinematic of units. Oliveira, that's so many Marines! There's no infestors at all! Didn't even scan forward, just stutter stepping and tearing through absolutely everything! And Scarlett, gunned down! Wow! Those infestors were a day late and several $1,000s short. Oh no. Scarlett just getting caught off guard here. And able to power through is Oliveira. Oh my. Gonna have to go back to the spawning pool. Bit of an awkward game. The kind of halting mid-game for both players definitely worked in Oliveira's favor. Scarlett, she completely dominated those. That was the least effective, most dead Reapers I've ever seen, at least in the recent past at this level. Just, that one was great. Unfortunately, what it cost her was a comfortable spot in the mid-game before Oliveira put together a tank push. So, I think it was worth it, though. All right, watching those Reapers get dismantled, scrambling around, boxed in by the Queen. Reapers are so annoying. Game 3, Alcione. She tried it again. And I think it was less that the unit composition didn't work, and more that it just took too long to get there. As clearly, infestors were needed for that ball of Marines. The tanks weren't even that big a factor. It was just the sheer number of Marines powering through. Going to be just a 1 Rags expand, this time for Oliveira. Spawning pool. Completed. I had you waiting to know what would happen there. Gotta create suspense. Alright. Professional. Like and subscribe. Nothing to no super early cheeses. Scarlett not trying to take the gold bases here. The reason you don't see too many early Zerg rushes is very simply the Reaper exists. Even if you're going to go for a roach timing, it's a bit dicey because the Reaper may commit in. Honestly, most of TVZ early game, what is going on there, is defined by the fact that I could, but I probably won't. Like with the Reaper scouting in, or Hellions darting by, or just in Zerg's case, making enough Zerglings to threaten. Like you can make 12 lings, and there's a good chance it'll work. Once. But will it work when you need it to? There's oh, that was horrifying. That Marine just right-clicked on the Overlord, couldn't quite hunt it down. The Zergling slipped by. Oliveira taking a bit of damage there. But yeah, a lot of it is, we've worked out over the many years, what you can get away with and what you can't. And there are some calculated risks, like early Roach all-ins, or running by with the Hellions, that are high enough percentage plays that they're still on the table. But they're low enough percentage plays that they're usually left alone. And that is what we kind of see as the back and forth. And those are the little details that, like, we've worked out over time. There are different flavors of how you deal with it. Like, for example, Oliveira sending out each of his Hellions immediately. Some players will just keep 2 on the ramp at all times. Oh my god, Oliveira's running by. Some players won't do this. Most players. But Oliveira just goes for it. Gambling that Scarlett has no Zerglings ready. He lost. Because all he saw were queens. Scarlett known for being greedy. Last game, she was incredibly greedy and super dead because of it. But now, because she built a dozen lings and hid them, and Oliveira ran by with the Hellions, well, now she could build 12, 15 more drones. So that is the opportunity cost there. Either you build the lings, and you have the defense, and you're down 6 or 7 drones where you could be if they don't run by. Or, in this case, you don't build the lings and maybe you lose the game. Like, maybe not the whole game, but pretty, so much economic damage. Well, and again, Oliveira gonna just dive in, but the Zerglings were in a bit of a weird spot. The drone on hold position, and the drone sacrifices itself so the Zerglings can get this around and keep the Hellions from getting out. Some very satisfying kills from Scarlett in this series, if nothing else. And there's been a lot else, all right? What am I saying, if nothing else? Scarlett pioneering a completely new style of Zerg versus Terran, which I'm still not sold on the mass Hydra, but this game is much more likely to lead comfortably into it, as Oliveira has been completely slapped down. 8 Hellions, a Liberator, the Reaper, even the Marine early on shut down. Another Liberator going to be attempted. That flew right by an Overlord. But Scarlett doesn't seem like she noticed outright here. The Queen dipped a toe into range. 2 more hatcheries on the way. That's a bit greedy. The gold base as well, but it's a combination of Oliveira taking big risks that don't pay off and Scarlett being prepared. Scarlett also takes big risks, but they're usually in the holding down of the drone key at potentially very risky timings. We saw that last game. So far, she's gotten away with it here. She had the Zerglings ready at the very right times. And 72 drones of the gold. Let's get that Hydralisk den, and let's start building units. Because you have 5 bases, Scarlett. I don't want to see, not the angry coach here. Scarlett, definitely a better player. But it's 5 bases to 3. There's no reason to risk getting an even more dramatic economy. You certainly have more bases. You almost certainly have more workers. The creep spread over half the map. So now's the time. This time she's not going for the Hydra den, but instead opting for just pure Zergling Baneling. Near perfect vision of everything coming out of the bases here. 1-1 done. Scarlett, we're on the Scarlett cam, by the way, for a moment. Scarlett actually ahead in upgrades, though she hasn't started an infestation pick way yet. Correct. A Liberator being very annoying back there. Back to everyone. Center of the map, that choke point. So annoying to deal with. Zerglings and Banelings not known for handling it well. Scarlett wants to both drag Oliveira's units and attention away, so that way when she comes in with Baneling speed, she can overrun the siege tanks, potentially. And she's on top of 2 of them. The Baneling's targeted. Ooh. Well, that could have gone better. Was looking to get all the tanks, but there were more in the back line. And Scarlett ends up losing 57 Zerglings, 14 Banelings, and gets, like, 1 tank. So, all the initial lead and damage... Just, oh my god. What are you doing? Okay. Well, she's got 5 hatcheries, 6 hatcheries, and very excited to show it. This seems like one of those... This is almost an all-in. She doesn't have an infestation pit on the way. Just a mass-ling Bane. More medevacs dropping out. The Marines undercutting some of the creep spread. I'm sure that'll get replaced. A couple of the Marines getting left behind, but for the most part, picked up. And now Oliveira decides, I think, realizing this isn't going to be the Hydra style. This is just mass Zerglings and those mass siege tanks. There are 6 tanks done. Scarlett has 91 Zerglings and 41 Banelings on the field. There's only 5 minerals over on this side. It looks like she's gonna go. 2-2 is done in about 20 seconds. We'll see if she waits for something. I'm sure she was paying attention to Oliveira's upgrades, but will this be enough for an upgrade advantage? Will there be enough time on the clock here? Well, 12, 10. I think she knows she has an upgrade advantage, but it's so thin. 2, 1. Well, if we're gonna go, now's the time. 10 seconds on the clock for the 2-2. Scarlett sets up a small group of Ling Bane. 2-2 about to complete. Scarlett coming in, but Oliveira's upgrades finish right as the fight starts. The siege tanks obliterating the Banelings. Are there enough of them to hold the line? Oliveira, yes. The tanks hold. And Scarlett is beaten back. Oliveira with a cinematic defense against the oldest but most reliable Zerg style, the Massling Bane. She attacked into the tanks with a great surround and good positioning with good upgrades. But they're still siege tanks on the high ground. I wouldn't try it. Coming in for another round with whatever she's been able to rebuild. It is on creep. Rolling past the tanks as much as she can, but the Marines coalescing, gutting down the remaining Banes, and Oliveira decisively turning the tides and driving Scarlett out. Oh, well, they always make for exciting games. This time around, Oliveira holds the line. Scarlett couldn't quite close it out. A dramatic set, but Oliveira takes it. 2-1. I'm gonna be thinking about that Hydra microbial shroud. Who does that? And then why didn't we see it again? I don't. Questions for the philosophers and the YouTube commenters, but not to repeat myself. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope I made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon, or even here liking and subscribing. It's still free for now. And the second channel, if you want to check out more of the game, Scarlett is the balance designer of Zero Space, or some Stormgate, or, you know, just the stream and stream VODs in general. I also stream on YouTube now on the second channel. So, thank you for watching. Either way, good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.